What book has been translated more than any other book except for the Bible? It's the Tao. This is Robert Manni, host of Guys TV, and this week my special guest is Diane Dreher. We're going to talk about the art of the Tao right here, right now on Guys TV. You can also catch me on KCAA Radio in Southern California and Guys Radio, my worldwide podcast. Guys TV, Guys Radio, thanks for your support. Okay, Guys Radio, and I've got a very special guest for you today, and we're going to talk about the Tao. What is the Tao? Well, it's spelled T-A-O, and it's one of the oldest books ever written, and it's been translated and republished by so many people over the years. I think only the Bible has been reproduced more and probably talked about more. We've got an expert on the show today. Her name is Diane Dreher. She's got her own take on the Tao. And this particular book we're going to talk about today is the Tao of Inner Peace. And let me tell you a little bit about Diane. The book, as I mentioned, has been translated more than any other book except for the Bible. The Tao Te Ching has been a spiritual guide for centuries, helped millions of people find peace within themselves, within others, and also through the natural world around them. The book is really cool. It's written in a workbook style. It's got a lot of exercises, questions, journal keeping techniques, affirmations at the end of every chapter. So it's fun to read. And the Tao of Inner Peace translates the ancient Eastern philosophy into a plan for contemporary Western living. Shows us how to bring greater joy and fulfillment, heal the body, build self-acceptance, resolve conflicts, reverse negative cycles of emotion, understand life as a process, and more and more and more. So Diane is a best-selling author. She's a Ph.D. researcher, positive psychology coach. She's got a lot of other books, The Tao of Personal Leadership, The Tao of Womanhood, Inner Gardening, and Your Personal Renaissance. And these books have been translated in a dozen languages. And she's also written for Entrepreneur, Redbook, Glamour, Cosmo, goes on and on. The name of this book is The Tao of the Inner Peace. Diane Dreher, Ph.D., is my special guest on Guys Radio. Welcome to the show, Diane.
I am delighted to be here, Robert.
Well, fantastic. So for a lot of folks out there, let's just give a little background. The Tao was written over 25 centuries ago. Why has it been so long living, if you will, and what does it have to offer us today in terms of walking the path of wisdom and combining theory and practice?
Okay, well, Lao Tzu, a very ancient Chinese sage, wrote the Tao Te Ching during the Warring States period in ancient China, when the world as he knew it was falling apart. And he sought consolation in nature, walking through the woods, observing the lessons in a mountain stream, in a grove of bamboo, in the cycle of the seasons, and it gave him renewed hope. He realized that water is gentle and nurturing, but with perseverance can cut through solid rock. It gave him a new idea of strength. He looked at bamboo, which bends with the wind, but doesn't break. Again, a new idea of strength. And a new idea of wisdom in terms of the cycle of the seasons, that yin, one kind of the contemplative, less active form, and yang, the active form, are part of a cycle of life. So the Tao Te Ching, which has been translated, as you say, more than any other book in the world, but the Bible, has inspired innovators and creative thinkers for absolutely centuries. Some of these people more recently are Abraham Maslow, Carl Rogers, who carried a quote from the Tao Te Ching in his wallet to inspire him, and Wayne Dyer, who wrote a book about the Tao. So what does the Tao do? It gives us, again, the wisdom in the principles in nature, the wisdom of living systems, and the systems, the patterns of energy within and around us. So I have a friend who is a coach for athletic teams and Olympic athletes, and he uses the Tao Te Ching as a way of motivating and inspiring his clients, his athletes. So the Tao can help us respond physically, realizing that soft is strong, like water, like bamboo. When we get all tense, we do not perform at our best. So my friend Jerry Lynch, who's also written about the Tao Te Ching, inspires his athletes to focus, to go within, to find their center, so that they can respond accordingly. So the Tao gives us a lot of ways to deal with challenges and to find greater meaning in our lives.
Now, the book has been around for a long time, and people would obviously ask the question, what is the Tao? What is Tao? Is that divinity, for no better term, God, divinity? Because it seems to, one of the sections, the passages, and the book is broken into, the teachings are broken into different passages. There seems to be about, 75 or so. I'm just taking a random guess. And they're little sections with little teachings in there. And then the different folks like yourself have articulated what they mean, actually. But it all goes back to that before the universe. I remember reading this last night, actually, there was the Tao. So is the Tao really God?
Well, the Tao Te Ching is composed of, you're close, 81 short poems about the Tao. And the Tao can mean many things. In the Chinese character of Tao means the way or the path in one level. So it's the path of life that we take. The Tao also means the one. The Tao is the one. From the one come yin and yang. From yin and yang together come the forms of all creation. So it can be seen as nature, as divinity, as the oneness of life, or as the way of life that we walk. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You say in the book that this is, and I've read that the Tao is kind of a feminine in its teaching, and I say that as a positive. It's not weak, but it's about, as you mentioned, bamboo. It's supple, yet it's strong, and water. Water can move around, but it's still very powerful. Talk to us about the connection between the divine feminine and the Tao Te Ching.
Okay. Well, we have these two forces, these two energies in the Tao, in the way, in life. Yin, which is been called the feminine, the contemplative, the flexible, malleable, and then Yang, which is the busy, active, supposedly masculine sense of strength. But I trained in the martial art of Aikido, and by blending with the energy of the attacker, getting off the line, we can resolve the conflict without combat, without harming the opponent. So it's the feminine is to, or the yin, I suppose, is to be aware of the energies within and around us and blend with them, work with them, instead of try to fight them directly. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. And another concept that comes up in the teachings is embodiment. And people are familiar with that term, but in reference and relevance to the Tao, what does that actually mean? Embodiment.
To embody, again, that's a word that can mean many things too. To incorporate the teachings within us, physiologically, psychologically, emotionally, as well as intellectually, to actually have a sense of them that becomes part of our life. A lot of people read self-help books and they get some good ideas, but unless we embody them and actually turn them into action, turn the yin, the concept, into active behavior and choices, yang, then we don't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. We need both. So we need to actually incorporate these teachings. It's nice to think about the strength of bamboo, but unless we actually learn to be flexible and practice that, it's not going to take us anywhere.
Exactly. Okay. The name of the book is The Tao of Inner Peace. Diane Dreher, Ph.D. is my special guest. We live in a time, and one of the tenets of the book is about, peace is kind of an inside job. And over the past couple of years, a lot of people have been indoors, and we're a culture that has been defined by our looking to the exterior for solutions. It's always beyond us. It's always on the outside. Yet the pandemic has forced a lot of people, some of them kicking and screaming to look inside, and some of them have seen their shadow, and it's not that pretty. But I think overall, there are some positives that have come out of people having that time to spend alone and really looking at who they are, and how they can serve. Talk to us about the Tao and the pandemic.
Okay, the Tao has given us an opportunity. The pandemic has given us an opportunity to seek our own sense of dynamic balance. The Tao nature has a dynamic balance of the cycle of the seasons. It's spring now, at least in this hemisphere. And trees are starting to bud out. We have deciduous trees up in Northern California. They actually do lose their leaves, not like what goes on in Southern California. So that there's a sense of rebirth, a sense of renewed energy. Okay, but that renewed energy happens because of the period of dormancy. In fact, fruit trees, apple trees need a period of yin, dormancy, a chill factor, in order for them to bear fruit in the next season. So, like apple trees, we have been experiencing a period of enforced yin. One of my friends calls it being under house arrest because he's been unable to do a lot of the things he ordinarily did. A lot of people, have been working remotely. They haven't gone to the gym to work out. They've been closed. They haven't seen their friends. They haven't gone to restaurants. So a lot of yin. And yin is the sense of going within, of listening to ourselves, spending more time indoors. And also, a lot of people have been spending more time walking outside because that's about the only kind of exercise they can do. The gyms have been closed. So they've been experiencing nature. They've experiencing contemplative time, which our culture doesn't give us much opportunity ordinarily to do. We're very, very yang, busy, noisy, filling up our calendars, racing around on the freeway of life, just going all the time. We haven't been able to do that. So a lot of the things that we've been doing out of habit, get up, drink coffee, go to work, see the same people, do the same thing, reverse the procedure in the evening, watch TV or, internet, and then go to bed and do it all the next day. A lot of people have been jolted out of that habit, and they're beginning to ask, hey, why am I doing this? Does this mean anything to me? So we have the great resignation. A lot of people are quitting their jobs, going back to school, changing careers, taking time off, trying to find their balance. So the pandemic has forced us into yin to balance out our excessive yang.
Great answer. The book, the teachings, if you will, they seem to be broken up. You haven't broken up into 5 sections. It seems like initially it's about setting up the concepts and then bringing them inside so people can understand them and how they work with them in their personal lives. And then there's an exterior part about how our culture, how the Tao can help our culture, help our leaders, help organizations, et cetera. Is there anything you want to articulate further about that, how the book and the teachings are set up?
Yes, I did that, very consciously, because I believe that we really cannot create greater harmony around us if we're too stressed to see straight, if we don't have any harmony, any peace within us. And recent research in neuroscience pretty much affirms that ancient teaching of the Tao Te Ching, that we need to create and cultivate peace within us in order to cultivate peace around us. When we're in a stress state, we are reactive. Our, heartbeat, blood pressure speed up. Our immune system shuts down. Our digestive system shuts down. Our higher brain centers go offline so that we can react to an emergency with fight or flight. So it gives us a very narrow view of what we need to do, and we act really fast and without thinking it through. Well, that might work really well to jump out of the way of a speeding car. It can save our lives. But to resolve an interpersonal conflict, a complex problem at work, an international conflict, when you have people reacting with fight or flight, you don't get very wise solutions. So that the first part of my book was helping people understand the wisdom of the Tao, apply it to their lives, find ways to breathe in peace, to get centered, to use some martial arts exercises in terms of breathing, so that then we can respond wisely and create harmony around us.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people, are lonely these days, and the pandemic, I think, added to that. But there is a loneliness, even in very highly populated cities. I lived in New York for many years. It's in some ways a very lonely city, even though you're in a crowd. I think Keith Richards mentioned that in his lyrics. Never have been alone, except in a crowd, something to that effect. But a lot of people then, when they start to look inside, they seem to think like, oh, there's something wrong with me. And it seems like that the further you go along the road of self-discovery, you figure out that it's not, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm perfect the way I am, but I'm creating my own problems. What do you have to say about that? And how can the Tao help?
Well, there are two really important themes there. There's the sense of the inner critic, that beats us up and tells us we're not good enough when we try to do something, especially when we try to do something we really care about and that we perhaps haven't done before. And the Tao gives us a vision of nature and shows us, there's an infinite variety of possibilities out there. And that the redwood tree in my yard is fantastic. It's taller than the house. But it doesn't feel inferior. Neither does the small daffodil that's growing in the yard. A daffodil is being a daffodil. The redwood tree is being a redwood tree. We are all unique individuals. And one of the things the Tao does is make us aware that we're all unique. And to compare ourselves to anyone else is ridiculous. No human being on this planet has ever been exactly like you or me. We all have different fingerprints. Even identical twins have different fingerprints, so that the sense of judging ourselves as not being enough is, according to the Tao, ridiculous. Point one. Point number two, loneliness, okay, in a crowd. There's been a lot of that lately, even more so than loneliness in the cities, because of the isolation with the pandemic restrictions. So there's been a rise in loneliness and depression in our country and in many countries in the world. The Tao says, the Tao person creates harmony, reaching out from the heart to build community. That, again, the Tao shows us that we're all part of the one, and we just need to acknowledge that. How do we do that? To feel connected to the world around us means we're not lonely. To feel connected, going out and taking a walk, looking up at the stars in the sky at night and realizing we're part of some incredible cosmos that Carl Sagan used to say, with billions and billions of stars. And that our bodies are made out of the elements of the stars. We are star stuff, okay? That, oneness with nature, oneness with our friends and close relatives. Can we reach out to them and just sort of, it doesn't take much. There's a psychologist, Barbara Fredrickson, who talks about micro moments of connectivity, where we can walk down the street and wave at a neighbor. And both of us feel this connection, this energy, which has been shown to relieve stress, reduce inflammation, and activate our immune system. It just makes us feel better to feel connected. We are not meant to be isolated, individuals. We're part of something larger than ourselves. And the Tao Te Ching affirms that principle. And in my book, I show people, how to make some of these connections and how to realize that if we've got a big problem out there, we can build community and have a critical mass of people that we feel we're connected to. And sometimes a few individuals working together can make a positive difference in our structure, in our democracy, in our world.
Now, you mentioned earlier that there's 81 poems, and they're short poems. And how would you recommend for somebody who's interested in learning more about the Tao to actually consume the Tao? Should they read one a day or a couple at a time, or just go around and find one that they resonate with, or all of the above?
Yeah, I'd go with all of the above. I think it would be a good idea. Sounds like a disclaimer here, to read a book that introduces them to the main concepts of the Tao, like the Tao of Inner Peace, for example, or Wayne Dyer has a book on the Tao Te Ching, so that we kind of know what to expect. And then read one short poem in a meditation period, maybe at the beginning of the day. Think, okay, what message is there for me in that? Is there, Carl Rogers, as I said, carried a quote from the Tao in his wallet. And that quote was about leadership. If we are called to a new leadership position, perhaps this quote could help. With the best of leaders, when the work is done, the project completed, the people all say, we did it ourselves. That the best leader is a facilitator who brings people together and inspires the best in all of them so that we have the best possible outcome. So there's an affirmation if a person is promoted at work, how to be that kind of Tao leader, how to bring people together, how to recognize their individual unique strengths and come create a new artwork, a new mosaic of possibility, combining these skills.
Fantastic. Well, Diane Dreher, Ph.D., The Tao of Inner Peace is the name of the book. Previously published as The Tao of Peace, A Guide to Inner and Outer Peace. It's been updated. It's a beautiful book. Maybe tell us about where people can learn more about you, but also I would love it if we could go off with a brief, you select a poem and read it to us, and then we'll fade out from there.
Okay.
Putting you on the spot, but.
Okay, first of all, I've got 81 choices here. To find out more about me, I have a website, dianedreher.com. That's spelled DIANEDREHER, all one word, .com. I also blog for Psychology Today with a blog called Your Personal Renaissance. And probably the most familiar quote from the Tao Te Ching that people know about is that we can begin right now making a change in our lives and the world around us. The Tao affirms patience and says, a tree that grows beyond your reach springs from a tiny seed. A building over 9 stories high begins with a handful of earth. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And we can each take that step toward greater peace this day, right here and right now.
Oh, fantastic. Beautiful. Diane Dreher, thank you so much for being on Guys Radio. I love the book. I'm going to read one of the poems every day. Last night, I read about 25 of them, but I think the way to consume them is one at a time. That's going to be my style. And I look forward to learning more and more about it. And hopefully we'll have you back again. And thank you for the wonderful work you're doing, Diane Dreher.
Thank you, Robert.
Enjoy the guests and content I bring you each and every week on Guys Radio and TV. Please help out by subscribing to my channels. Thanks for your support.